Good morning. My name is Paul Richert. I'm the law librarian and professor of law at the University of Akron School of Law. And the program today is called Scout Portal Toolkit, using Scout Portal Toolkit to build web databases of legal information or any sort of information. And the opening speaker was very valuable because he kind of trashed what I'm going to talk about, which, of course, we had some responses from Marion Parker and others which we couldn't hear. That I was sitting in this room, and they didn't have a C-SPAN microphone in the audience like they do book TV at C-SPAN. Talking to the microphone when you ask a question, so we didn't get to hear the questions in this room. Basically, go to the next screen. Just hit enter, probably? Yeah, okay. I did. I'm going to talk about, you have some useful information, generally. Want to share over the internet, and in my case I wanted to share them with legal reference librarians, possibly law students, lawyers, law professors, or the public. And I didn't have expensive software. I don't have a lot of training on how to do that, and I went through a journey, about a 5-year journey, to come up with this product that would help me. And I didn't have a lot of money to hire people, and our computer center isn't too interested in it. You know, it's not big iron sort of thing. So this sort of database that you might want to have, small in scope generally, and that's what at least he admitted at the end, our prior speaker, the plenary speaker, that in subject special areas there still may be value in subject classification and subject access to material. Talk about what my idea was. And I did find some other possible solutions out there. And I'll be open to questions, particularly at the end. Well, I got a question. I'm sitting at the reference desk. We all have to do reference at Akron. So I work Wednesday night, and used to work on the weekend a lot too. So some member of the public calls up our law library and says, I'm using Shepherd, and maybe they're 40 miles away. They don't want to come to our library to find out about this. I said, well, yeah, I know there's some law schools out there that have pathfinders. Thanks a lot. I know there are pathfinders out there at different law schools that talk about using shepherds that give, basically, they're for first year law. Put in shepherds, whether you get any good. Well, I'd like to create a little web-based arrangement that might be useful for sitting at the reference desk sometime. If your library doesn't have one, I know there are a lot of law schools that have a lot of. Have something at Pacific Bell Telephone Company, now SBC, filaments of information. just a way for school teachers to take some links and slap them in some form. 6 months it's removed. So it's mainly for primary and secondary school teachers. Kind of, I was trying, kind of what it looked like. And I do say in here, alphabetize them. It just slapped them at the end. Well, that doesn't look very perfect. Justify that. So that's the way it looked. So clearly, I'm not going to be happy having a web. And also, I didn't have a way at our law school, our university at that time, web pages and slap them up there. Now that changed. So this was Pacific Bell Telephone Company, and then later. The problem is it didn't have a lot of functionality. It gave me a place to stick things on the web, and it gave me, well, by 99 or 2000, Word had come out, and they'd heard of the web, and they made it the new versions whenever I got it, that you could export it into a web page. And you could put things in alphabetical order in a Word document. And I had a student assistant to do so at that time. So this is kind of what, in terms of what I wanted to do. So I created this subject classification for how I organized the data. So I had links down. I had classified various and sundry pathfinders that I thought classified. And I generally tried to use Library of Congress subject heading. And the final thing was just an alphabet modified, more or less the AALS alphabet. Great bibliographies with no annotation. Internet location. So the second solution, Word, problem with that was if you ever, Word, it was difficult. There are also, I'd say, 1,000 to 2,000 of these useful pathfinders, according to about 130 law schools. Had them all on one page. Well, it would be difficult then also creating all those subject headings. Front page, of course, was bought by Microsoft and was documents from Word. It was easier. Stop trying to keep up the subject. Fourth solution, which looked good, Microsoft Access. Learn the database, learn front page, and you can create web pages. In other words, you create search forms, and do a search query in an Access database and retrieve. You have to have a Microsoft server with front page extensions to make this work. And the university had this at this time. I could build this. The problem is, I didn't think I could pull off in terms of time and sufficient interest. What my value is in classification of legal pathfinders, not in building websites. So I finally, in the allows you to have a web. In fact, it creates a subject portal. I haven't really used the portal aspects of it, but I'm going to go into, now we're going to go into a lot of detail on what's, see if it's something that you would want to use. Software comes from the Internet librarians know about this. This started in 1994, and the Scout Portal Toolkit is funded by a Mellon Foundation grant. And Scout, the Internet Scout project's been supported by the National Science Foundation. Scout project started in 1994. Develop better tools and services for finding, filtering. Try to avoid those web. University of Wisconsin. So it's probably some savvy people. Product are the Scout reports. They put one out in the humanities and one in sciences. These are kind of vetted directories of valuable websites for academic use. I used to look at them all the time. I don't, or to see new sites. Scout Portal Toolkit. Demo, screen. 2002 conference, and then also to an article. SPT, or Scout Portal, allows anyone or a group have only you maybe create. In other words, with front page without a database attached, you have to create static web pages, and you have to keep all those web pages up. Low investment in time. Good things about it: low cost, many features. Allows you to it has fields set up that are very useful that we think. Comment on that. If you have closed user community or open, you can have them open it up so they can send in comments. They can rate it, like on Amazon, other sites. They can rate it. I don't have a, I'm not. Register. I hate our local newspaper once you buy it, I get it to the developer tools. I really liked. I mean, this is what didn't really discuss the bit about what's the problem. Why do we have law classification? Because the language is so flexible. English haven't quite got the computer to link. Parsing of the language that you need without somebody who's actually used a brain. That might be useful because of that. I saw this fall. They're not ready yet. Well, by the summer of 2003, they're ready. And so I got a student assistant. It can be customized, highly customized. But my web student assistant work with this version, and the computer says, we don't have time to look at this. We're too busy, PeopleSoft projects to do anything. Remember, I got the blurb write-up in Gary Price's, he called it a resource of the week or something, in the resource shelf, I think is what his thing is called on the internet. Post a message, and about every only way I could say who was doing it. Survey on reputation, please raise our ranking. So you have a browse resources function. That's where you see the classified subject heading. Fields that you could search together. Forums, I don't have that turned on. That's where you could have groups of talk about, oh, what great pathfinders they found at the university. 4 different fields that we can require to be in the same record. Here is what really law, because I think a lot of users don't know exactly. I've always found that indexes help. Law classification, and now we're going down. We're drilling down. And this is all stuff I created, and it makes it simple to do that. Much more difficult if you had records. And the records are for the Albany Law School and are really the institutional of pathfinders. I made the choice that I would not make the record the individual pathfinder. And the basic reason is because every time a school changes the URL, it's usually for the group. They probably, if they have 50 pathfinders, but every time they change the URL for the main page, they probably change all the URLs for all the underlying pathfinders. And that's too much. The web's too dynamic. And you go to their website. You go immediately. Oh, it says next time the professor or student wants. I haven't found anybody else that's done record. URL and the description, early the listing of pathfinders again. I've created all these classifications. Or you can work with collaboratively. I said that I'm the only person all the classifications for Kendo. Anybody in the world in my group can send me. Okay, I've logged in now. Oh, okay. So you can do various and sundry things. I'm using Scout Portal updates in the last year. I didn't want them to do it even if they could the last couple months and possibly. Administrative help. It tells you how to do various and sundry. Screen very well. Shows better. It bleeds off. But anyway, this is like in the database in Access, where you access your various fields and you name them. Properties, how big, how many characters you can have. Add more fields to a record. So if you find a new law school, and I've got a bunch. I have some institutions. I put a list of paths. Appalachian Law School record. So if they change pathfinders or add them, I launched my website. Law Library special interest section. And it was dead. He dead. Trying to do that. I didn't. That shows you how dynamic things. I thought it was kind of interesting. I apologize to anybody in this room. So I immediately had to remove all this work. I'd spent several hours doing that. And I just wanted to suppress the record, but at that time, I had to get rid of all it. I don't think I can suppress it. So here is the add or edit classifications, and you can what you need to use. And apparently, they're fairly available. Yes? Yeah, I think it's pretty available. I have a computer guy, he put Linux on a machine. And says, I certainly didn't want to do it, but I had to wait for our university to do something. Because of course, as soon as you put a server up, the support from the Scout project is subjects off says gotten some replies from the developer. Got a small staff, and they very difficult to do. Periodic backups and update. Let other people find the problem. More capability that it customization and certain. As some people have tried to use Windows with it, have tried to use to my point, port something over something that it wasn't designed to work with. Benefit, of course, apparently a MySQL database on PHP, a lot of use or a huge database cost than using front. In summary, the Scout Portal Toolkit is a has some utility, I think, to people. What have other people done with this? Website. So Tibetan and Himalayan digital. and I take a hike every Saturday morning with a rubber chemist. So I know more about rubber tires and chemistry than I ever want to know. And Scout Portal Toolkit. Last one, finally, the Medical Library Association. Finally, and this is on the tell you more about the product. I don't like your solution, Richert. Give me something else. Okay, I'm not really familiar with University of Michigan. Melville Dewey, I'm sure. Along the same lines that I'm probably a couple dozen others. And a lot of people have done custom things in-house. I've seen some of those. Well, we could build it in-house. Let's have some fun and build one in-house. Spend a lot of time and money on it, and I guess you can. Questions? Have to use, and I use, that's beyond what I know. Scout to Law Scout. And if you click on one of the links on the page for Law Scout, it'll click you to the Scout Portal Toolkit. Let's see. Let me look at well, I just have a link from the afford, even if I paid them. Have a website, there's upkeep to it. And so I've never used it, so I don't know. I have no statistics on whether. Well, the thing is, it's still really in development. All the subject headings in, that's going to be on a weekly basis. I'd say I don't do this at work normally. There's ways to probably restrict that out. And so now Tempe every week or every always broken, you know, it always has to. Not template software, but frames. Assumption is that if I link to their happy that other people I don't think there's anything. I don't recall if there was anything in particular. I imagine it is, but you check their website to double. Well, I mean, that Chinese site's not in the U.S., but we had somebody who was a cataloger. standards, and we have plenty of microfiche. A lot to do. They're not interested. Our library has 11 full-time people. Got it up there. And as the boss, I don't want to push that. But she did a Pathfinder. Lynn Linnert did a Pathfinder on the subject you're talking about. But I think they want to organize notes, full text information. I don't really think this is more adapted towards linking. Yeah, you could do that here. Yeah, that's the tech right there. John.